Are we live yet? And we are live. I love it when I see the live button and the clock starts to tick. Oh, and my little dog, my little pumpkin went into her crate. It's almost like she knows what live means. Now she's in the crate. Hey, pumpkin. Some of you have seen my dog on when I did Monday meditations during COVID. The first time I did Monday meditation, she didn't know what was going on. So after we went live, she decided to just sit in front of the camera with her back to the camera. And I was like, oh my God, my dog is in the way. And everyone thought it was so cute. So now little pumpkin's in her crate because I woke her up. Anywho, so I just want to say that during this broadcast, you can support my page by sending stars, a digital gift that helps this page earn some money so that we can continue to be here and grow and expand. And I see that we do have some people watching. When you come on, if you could get into the chat and let me know where you're chiming in from. It's always good to see and to know what reach we have with Tuesday Talk. So tonight we are going to have Sinette, Ashley Amara back to continue with our series as we discuss wealth in the Black community. She is a member of the Shrine of Ma'at, and she has one day I was walking my dog talking with Sinette Ashley, and Sinette means sister. And she just all of this incredible, amazing information and knowledge just came out effortlessly. I'm like, if this ain't about a Tuesday talk, I don't know what it is. so, so um, it was really great to see and to to hear her speaks so eloquently and so proficiently. Her back the page. Let me.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh my
Um,
gosh,
can
I am
you?
so
Okay,
sorry.
that's fine. Can
Mhm.
you pull up your Oh, there it is. I didn't even hear all those people. This looks like the same broadcast. I wonder if I can go back in it or if I have to do a different one. I think I might have to do another one. Can you let me see if I
I
can
don't
go
know what
live.
that was about.
What'd you say?
Oh, I'm not sure what happened, but
Hold
it was
on.
choppy and I couldn't hear anything.
Let's see what time is it. It's better now. I wonder if they can.
Yeah, it's better now.
All right. Hold on. I'm gonna put this down for 1 second. I think we're still live.
Yeah, we're still live.
Wait, guys, are we still live? If you hear me, please say something. Tell me if you can hear me. Are we still live?
Okay, we have some people in the chat, I see.
So if we're still live, say then Lee text in there 1 2 3. Oh yes, they're
It's a
saying
yes.
I'm glad. I'm glad I wasn't cussing. I'm glad I wasn't out here cussing.
I can't.
Not 1 2 3 in the chat. Not yes, we live. Okay, we are live. All right, great. I'm thinking, what did I say when I thought I wasn't live? Oh my God. Anyway, we are back and we are live and we are constantly in balance. We are constantly in my so there is no problem.
Yes.
All right, guys. Again, I don't know what that was, but that happened and now it's not happening. So great. So I'm going to reintroduce you all to Sanette Ashley Amara. She is a member of the Shrine of Ma'at. And it's such a great pleasure to have her here. I don't know when I said it, if you heard it or if it was choppy,
Yeah, it was so
but
choppy.
I was walking my dog and on the phone with Sanette Ashley, and she just started talking about financial literacy. She's like, you know what? She said, Aboot, I have, this thing I do about, finances. Do you want to hear it? And just was on the mic. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I'm like, this could really be a Tuesday talk because while she's casually talking about, what she clearly knows proficiently, I was seeing how this could benefit our whole community. So I brought her back to discuss the vehicles of wealth. That's tonight's Tuesday talk, which is vehicles of wealth, because sometimes we hear these vehicles of wealth and we either don't know that it's a vehicle of wealth or we don't know how to access it and how to use it. We don't know who can service us in that way. And so because there are so many unknowns, we just don't do it. And then when your relative dies or is in the hospital, we doing GoFundMe's. And meanwhile, you got all the Jordans that come out every year that cost $300, and all the Gucci or whatever, or you get your hair done every month, which costs $500. And so we do have this money. We just don't know we don't really know how to use the vehicles of money. And so tonight, we're going to discuss the vehicles of money. Again, you can listen and absorb it and then come back and watch it and learn from it and take notes. You can always contact me. I have a few people who reached out to me during last Tuesday's session. I want to bring back professionals who can explain this from their service perspective and their ability to help you. If you are certified and licensed and registered and would like to be on Tuesday Talk, please, you can reach out to me. I'm going to put my email in the chat. I will background check you. Okay. So if you have degree ABC, I'm gonna check it out. You better have degree ABC. You got license 123. I'm gonna check it out. License 123. Okay. So make sure that you come with credentials that you actually have. All right. So I would love to have that, so that we can bring back like maybe a panel of professionals, so people can reach out to people who they know and feel safe and feel comfortable with. So before we begin, I want to ask you a little bit about you, Ashley, so people know who you are.
Yeah.
Were you born rich with a silver spoon in your mouth in a castle on a hill with maidens, servants, and chauffeurs and private tutoring and things of that nature?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, in spirit, maybe so, but not in the physical.
Not
Definitely
physical.
not.
All
Mm-mm.
right. So take us from a little bit of your childhood, and you don't have to divulge everything. Just help us understand how you've gotten to this level of knowledge and proficiency with finances. And I'm asking this because I think that a part of us as Black people, we are afraid to be paid. We are afraid, I think, it to try and then fail. Then it's like, Dad, I'm never going to get out of this.
Mm.
So what was your financial upbringing, and how did you start learning about it, and when did you become comfortable in presenting it? So the first question is, what is your financial upbringing?
I was born and raised inner city Philadelphia, what we call Uptown or Germantown. My mom did her best to put me in private schools, but like on programs, so any program she could find, or unless it was like public school, magnet schools, since I was like in elementary, middle, then high school, and so my mom always found a way to get me that elevated, education, and that savvy she had stuck with me. My mom was like one of the first women to work at our bus company called in Philadelphia called SEPTA. And so she was like really, really like, and my mom was like, no, like she played no games. She played no games about me. And so, but it was a little misdirected, because my religious upbringing was, I was Jehovah's Witness. So that's where a lot of the discipline, a lot of the things I noticed in these different environments shaped my thinking, and I noticed how different it was when I always went back to my neighborhood, and how, so many different environments I'm in, so many different environments I'm managing. I'm seeing different levels of wealth. I'm seeing different levels of lack of wealth. I'm seeing different behaviors. And I noticed what was working and what wasn't working at a very young age, even when looking at my own mom's behaviors. She meant well, but of course, like now, in my age right now, I can look back and say like a lot of those things she meant well, but you can really tell how the lack of education just really sabotaged a lot of that. And that's the story for like all of us. So what happened was I separated myself from that religion. It was a little traumatic experience, where they believe in separating you. At the time, they believe in separating you. If you don't want to be in it anymore, you really can't talk to your family no more. So the long story short, I put myself in the Air Force. And when I got to the Air Force, I actually served during active wartime. Ironically, I didn't get like a war type of like job, or like one of those grunt work jobs. I actually got a job where I worked in the hospital, and I learned a little thing called supply chain management. So going into Air Force is like getting a degree, honestly, because they teach you, skill sets that really do transfer in the real life, but you just have to figure out the military vernacular, right? So in supply chain management, medical supply chain management, I picked up a lot about deeper finances. I picked up learning about government contracts, appropriations. I held government credit card. I had to learn about accounting and a lot of principles that, because of my upbringing, I did not have. I actually actively put those, what I was learning in the military, how I had to manage the military and the government's money. I actively used those principles in my life. And I noticed it worked. And a lot of those things I picked up, and I noticed so much of what I'm going to talk about in these slides that I want to share with you. I felt like, wow, I was so fortunate to come across this information. So that's pretty much my story. Are you there? It's a little lag. Hold on, let me make sure. Okay. Oh, wait, now I can't hear you. I don't know what's going on, but I can't hear you. Oh my goodness. Oh boy. Let me see. I don't know what happened, but I can't hear you. You can't hear me either? I don't know what's going on. Oh, you can? Oh, y'all can. Okay. I can't hear him at Nutter. Okay. I can't hear you.
Right.
Where,
How did you get to that point where you hear me? I don't
I
understand
don't know
why.
why.
I can hear you. You hear me now?
Yeah, we can't hear you. I don't know.
Cheryl and Lee, can you put in the chat like what's going on, what people can hear? I don't understand what's going on. This is awful.
No, I can hear you. Yeah, now I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear
Okay.
you.
It was a
you.
delay. It was a real bad delay.
Okay, so just we're just gonna keep going.
Okay.
So basically, if how did you get to the point where you felt comfortable enough to discuss this? When did you know that you were good at this?
I noticed it when I worked after leaving the Air Force. I worked in about 3 other government agencies. I worked for the VA, I worked for Defense Contract Audit Agency, I worked and came back to the VA, and a few more. Also being in the reserves. I noticed in them spaces everywhere, I was doing a lot of working with vendors and businesses, and it's a portion of government contracting, which is what I was doing. I actually served as a government contracting representative, which is an assistant to a contracting officer. So I was the one vetting businesses behind the scenes to get them set up for the contracting officer to award for their bids. So a lot of that, I know I probably said a lot, but a lot of that I'll explain them in a little bit. But basically, I was picking these businesses, and in it there are goals, agency goals, that we had to have so much percentage of so many businesses with socioeconomic categories like women-owned, small business, ethnicities, all of that. And what I noticed was we weren't meeting our goals. And it was the same repeat businesses, of course, didn't look like us. And I was sitting back like, I was like, why these repeat businesses keep, why these people keep coming back? Like, first of all, I can't make my numbers, like it dawned on me. I was like, So then I kept the note in that. And then I enrolled myself back into college, or I go to Penn State. My bachelor's in organizational leadership. And so I learned organizational development, like development of businesses, development of leadership skills, and a lot of these classes I had to complete. That's when literally a idea came, when I was like, oh, I realized a reason why a lot of our businesses isn't getting through is, one is they're missing a lot of development.
Mm.
There's a lot of development, and two, they can't even show up at the door because they're not even like government contract prepared.
Mm.
So it became a serious like goal of mine, you know, to share this opportunity with people, to know that, you know, you being a United States citizen, um, and also if you're a business owner, like you have to be government contract ready, you know, because as a citizen, you know, you can do business with the government, you know, if you're competent, you know, and you know what's going on. And you know, so that's when it became like, okay, it's about development, you know. So I just put together like all these formulations and all these things, you know, to really make it make sense to people and also expose to people, you know, because the government thinks they're doing a good job with their interagencies, you know, of like SBA and the OSDBU office, which is the Office of Small Business Disadvantaged Business. These agencies are set up
Uh-huh.
for the government to do outreach to you know, private citizens, to teach them, you know, how to do business with the government. But they're missing the mark. It wasn't just until this administration that is a real good push, which I'll share
In the
my
slide.
findings.
Okay.
But it's just not enough, you know. And so I was like, you know, let me do what I can, you know, especially share with my community. You
Right, right. Okay, cool.
know?
That's good stuff. All right. So, what I'm going to do, if you guys have any questions, please put in the chat. I do want to bring up a question that someone had from last week. I don't see that this person is on, but I think that even though I think he was a little bit of a troll, his question was legit. And I'm going to paraphrase it. So basically, you know, the question, as the conversation progressed last week, a part of what we kind of come to understand is we're not managing our money well. You know, it's not something that like we know how to do that well or manage it, and so because we're not managing it, and which is one of the reasons why we have this episode for today, so we'll know how to manage it and the best vehicle in which to manage our money. But his comment was, if we're not making, and I'm paraphrasing, if everything is expensive, rent, mortgage, you know, transportation, food, and wages are not necessarily matching that type of, you know, existence in terms of the expenses, then how are we mismanaging it if we're basically just trying to survive? Like how is there a mismanagement? And I'm kind of adding to it at this point. How is there a mismanagement of basically survival money? So if 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 you're just trying to basically keep your keep a roof over your head and food in your belly, you're not mis- you're not mismanaging it. There's just not much to have. So as we go over the slides, don't y'all, I don't know what she has
Mother, you're a
on the
little
slides.
choppy. Can you hear me?
So as as she goes through the presentation, Ashley, if you can kind of throw, answer that, or kind of address how we can manage money that's not a whole lot
Mm-hmm.
of When we
Yeah,
get to
it's a little choppy.
the
I'm not sure. Can y'all
actual part
can you
where we're doing the vehicles of money, um, uh, maybe we can add that in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, can you hear me? I just want to make sure everybody can y'all hear me? Because it's like I don't know when she goes. Okay. So I'm gonna get started. I'm not sure. Can you hear me? I can hear you now. I'm not choppy. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna get started. Yeah, so okay, cool. So yes, thank you so much for that. I believe what was being asked is that, given the financial climate of all that's going on, how are we supposed to build wealth when, we're, you know, um, living paycheck to paycheck, when we are, in the struggle, situation.
It looks
What it
like
what it is that what we're gonna
we
start
are
having
frozen
to do.
again.
Okay, so what we're gonna have to start doing is we have to get to a place where we, build our value. An indication of that struggle is that there's a like, and that's why I started off this series with the metaphysics of money, with healing financial trauma, because that's essentially what that is. Unfortunately, that is the reality for folks. But what needs to
Oh
happen
no, it's
is that
choppy again.
there needs to be a point where you raise and increase your value. And the first thing you need to do is um, you have to go ahead and heal those those traumas, those disconnects. You got to heal those disconnects. You have to heal.
Ashley, wow.
Now I think you're delayed. Okay, so you
Ashley,
have to heal all of
can you
that.
hear me?
Okay, yeah. Okay, perfect. Thank y'all. Because it's like, okay, so with that being said, in order to stop the repetition of the struggle and all of that, we have to go back and heal deeply, reframe your ideas of finances, because what's happening is you are projecting that into your reality. You're projecting everybody else's financial story what of um of what you learned about finances. You learned stuff from people who didn't have the information, who were financially abused themselves. Our ancestors, when in the in the creation of this country, we were financially abused. We were, through the transatlantic slavery, the Jim Crow, all those things. That's all financial abuse. So with that financial abuse, you're going to have to unlearn a lot of things. And I understand that you might want to hold on to grandma and grandpa, mom, or your mom's or auntie and uncle's ideas of money, but you have to understand that you're going to have to unlearn and relearn. Because if you look at their life, you have to ask yourself, is that where I want to go? Just we have to have clear, unbiased, non-emotional um, understanding, or we have to ask ourselves these questions unemotionally and have to really look at the facts. Is that what we want to continue in my life, in the generations to come after me, or do I need to pivot? Is what they live by working for them, and is that what I want for myself? Because that's what happened is we are replaying that. That's why we are living paycheck to paycheck. That's why the reality is how it is. I'm on mute. Okay, so I'm just letting you know. Sorry guys. It's going to be great. We're just trying to get these technical difficulties together. So with that being said, I'm going to start with what I have. So this is the second installation of the Money Matters series. I would love if you are just coming to this, you definitely should see the first part, because the first part talks about the mental state, basically what I'm talking about now. And it talks about the financial trauma and how you can self-diagnose yourself in order to make those pivots, or get that awareness and become mindful, so that we can start making some pivots mentally. Mentally, we have to open our capacity to wealth. We, as a collective, we don't even have a capacity of knowing how to manage wealth, let alone go out and get it. Everybody says you got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You have to, it's all these opportunities. But if you don't have the capacity, if you're not aware of how, and also energetic capacity, right? You're going to mismanage every single opportunity. So it's so important. I would really love if you go back to that first one. It was just last week. But this part is now continuing the conversation of, I'm going to talk about two vehicles that go hand in hand, that are very rarely talked about in our communities, is very rarely heard of, very rarely even understood. So the first one I'm going to talk about is in part one, is the wealth vehicle one, that I think is a good one to talk about, is trust. And I'm going to talk about business structure. Then in the second part, I'm going to get into talking about government contracting. We're going to talk about what government contracting is, what the vehicle opportunity is, and the skill sets of working with the government. This information is coming from, at least the government contracting information is coming from me being a prior active duty Air Force. I served as a contracting officer representative. So I was an assistant to contracting officers, where I worked on projects, construction projects, worked literally for the VA, or for operations where I held a government credit card. I held a government credit card of $250,000 monthly limit, maxed it every month, $250,000, just by myself and in a group of people, and I say all that to say that this is what I did. I was sent to Washington, D.C. To study this at the schools for federal government agencies, government agents, to learn and understand federal appropriations, government, budgets. So I come from a solid place of information. And what I'm going to tell you, I really would love for you to make sure you really have the right frame of mind and understanding and capacity to be able to take in this information that is hidden from us. And I don't want to say hidden from us, but it's just mostly like, we really don't know about it. As far as part one about trust, I'm not a lawyer, and I'm definitely going to have a disclaimer, but this is all coming from me being a wealth advocate for our people, that as soon as I learn something, I'm putting it together and I'm sharing it, because we have to put these concepts together and put them in our families. So sorry for the long introduction, but let's get started. Okay. So why do we need vehicles of wealth? Vehicles of wealth are important, and this came from our beautiful Sanette Motley. She is a PhD in our Shine. So Dr. Brittany, thank you if you're watching. Thank you, girl. Appreciate you. She gave me this beautiful dissertation she wrote about a study of the income gaps and wealth gaps. And so I extracted what I thought was so key, that, she gives the reasons why, and also she dispelled a lot of myths that we have about Black wealth, or why we don't have wealth, and a lot of, poorly taught, talking points that now has become the narrative for Black people as far as when it comes to money, which is so unfair, but it's something we got to change. So the first one was that wealth gaps are a structural problem, and this structure is actively maintained and reinforced by systematic beliefs of Black and white people, right? So it is a structural problem, and the structural problem is the fallacy that we think we have to work hard. And the thing is that we've been working hard. We've been working hard since we got here. Our parents been working hard. Everybody been working hard.
Right.
But why are we not, why is it not, it's not converting, right?
Can I jump in for 1 second?
Go right ahead. Mm-hmm.
So you can hear me.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
what I wanted. Ashley,
Nice.
if this goes down, if I lag, if there's an explosion, if Donald Trump walks through my, keep going. Just don't stop, okay? Because if I'm backstage and everybody can see what I'm trying to do, and just keep going, girl, because you're the one that's important here, because you're the one with the knowledge, okay? So just ignore it, keep it moving. If
Yeah,
you're not choppy, it doesn't matter what's going on around you, including me, okay?
Okay.
All right, so keep it rolling, girl. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. So yeah, we have to dispel that myth, even within ourselves, that we think we have to work hard. And the thing is that the reason why, like I said, I started off about mindset in part 1 is that there has to be a spiritual, an energetic, mental alignment that has to happen in order to create wealth. When you see people really are wealthy and they're in their purpose, like Michael Jackson, I'm just gonna say like Michael Jackson, Tiger Woods, Beyonce. No matter what you think about these people, I don't care what you think about these people. I'm talking about
Did you mean Michael Jordan?
Michael Jordan.
That's who you meant, right?
I said Michael Jackson too, with Michael
Yeah.
Jackson, Michael Jordan, people with that gift, right? We're not talking about their personal business. We talking about their gift. You see, they work hard, but it's a different work hard. They're operating from a spiritual place. I don't care how much money in the world they get. Do you see it? Have you noticed the amount of exertion of energy that they do? Like, do you know how many games Michael Jordan, and shows Michael Jackson, Beyonce have to do? That takes a lot of energy. Like, that's a lot of energy. Who can withstand? The money don't have to be that good, like who has that energy to keep doing that for that long? That they're operating from something completely different. And that's because it's a connection of purpose and spirit, right? So that's the energy of working hard, and that is value, and that translates to wealth. But over here, they got us working hard, but not in our purpose. Working hard for other people, and you working hard for their purpose. So that's why you're exerting a lot of physical energy. And what's happening is you're burning out. That's why you're living paycheck to paycheck. You're not seeing the results and the fruits because it's not coming from you're not spiritually connected. So you're going to burn out because you're only operating in the physical. So that's the number one problem. Until we can get there, we need to do certain things, because a lot of us, we're coming from nothing, like me, like coming from ground zero, maybe negative ground zero. So until you can get there, until we can get that space to be creative and work on our purpose, you have to do some things. We have to collaborate and do some things, but we have to dispel the myth that we need to work hard, because we're not working hard in the proper way, because we're not spiritually connected. That's number one. So number two, The reality is that the Black people are the only group in this country who start off with zero capital and even with the same or higher work ethic as their white counterparts, they're unable to generate the same returns. Exactly. A lot of that has to do with because, because we're so kept out of the financial structures, the financial protections, the financial planning and all of that, for a long time, our gifts were being used, right? So we're being used for our gifts. And then, these weird contracts that we don't know anything about got us binded so that we're not capitalizing on the actual material, the actual wealth that from the value that we're producing, AKA slavery. It's still happening. If you're not owning, if you're not controlling your things, like for a pure example is the music industry. Forever musicians were creating music under these labels, and these labels had these contracts, and they held something called a masters. It wasn't until like in my generation we're learning about a concept of masters where artists, they're happy that after a 20-30 year contract with these music labels, they're actually able to get their masters. Meaning now, instead of getting pennies on the dollar for their work and it going to like a label, a white label, a Jewish label, now they're able to, capitalize on their wealth. So that's number two, so now this conversation is taking all of that back. We're getting the understanding. We're taking all of that back. Now, number three, this economic disparities are a multi-dimensional concept and must be considered with a system thinking lens. So like I said, it's multi-dimensional. Like it has to go from the spiritual, it has to go and connect to the physical. It's multi-dimensional. And we have to, in the systems thinking needs to happen because, we weren't taught how to think systematically, how to engineer things, how to work and build and create repetitive systems. I'll talk about it later without, but I loved all these points. So Dua, Sanette, Brittany. So this is a points I wanted to bring out. Basically, to sum it all up, until we see the real, tangible, effective, larger systematic investments in closing the wealth gap, we can work on individual level behavioral changes. So basically, what larger systematic investments means is concepts of reparations, concepts like that. However, that conversation has been going on and on and on. We don't ever know when that's going to happen. But until then, we close the wealth gap by working on what we individually can do and come together collectively. And so we do that through, I've identified two ways, through education and development and through planning, literally actively working through and planning and putting these concepts to action. So once we educate ourselves, it takes intentional, strategic, intergenerational planning. And when I say strategic intergenerational planning, I'm going to introduce a concept called trust. So let me see your question. This how it's converted. It's interesting to hear people say raise vibration, but not elaborating on how in order to see the fruits of our labor. Absolutely. Absolutely. That is the point. I remember that was a few like thought forms back and I was flowing, but yes, like absolutely.
Ashley, are you going to define intergenerational so we know what
Mhm,
intergenerational? Okay, my
mhm.
bad. Sorry, go ahead. Of course you are.
Yes, ma'am. Intergenerational, meaning you have to have a vision. You have to see the children before they exist. You have to see the grandchildren before they exist, the great grandchildren before they get the great 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 grand. You have to see all of them before it exists. You got to set it up now. That's intergenerational. You know, you have projected yourself all the way down. You have to remember people are coming behind you. And so if you're not doing what it takes now to get the proper understanding to pivot correctly, like strong pivots and being consistent, if you don't do it now, it's never going to get done. They might come out before you, but wouldn't it be beautiful for you to do something now that literally changes that helps them? Because we can't keep having these generations start off from ground zero. We are all starting from, that's why it's so heavy, because we're all starting from ground zero. We have to do something. And if nobody's on board in your family, just set it up. Just set it up. You know, take the chance and do it, because it's people come behind you, you know, and that's what we got to remember. So next slide. The first vehicle one, trust. So I'm gonna give a disclaimer. I am not an attorney. I'm not a CPA. I'm not providing financial advice. I am an economic advocate. I'm sharing knowledge and resources. The information is a discussion intended to stimulate independent research and support self-education and development. So I just had to say that.
We have recorded. It's recorded forevermore. Don't be coming for Sinette Ashley. She's just telling you what she knows, y'all. We just chilling. Got my tea, got my water. Y'all got your coffee. Some of y'all might even have a little, a hard drink. We just talking. Get the information so that you can be the one. So I hope I say this right. Sashay said, I know that's right. That's right. We doing disclaimers because everybody has to, do their own research. And I see that there's a lot of interest in this. And I did not know. I knew Sinette Brittany was a smart woman.
You
But
should see that what she gave
I didn't
me.
know she had a PhD in to deal with economics. I didn't know that. Because I'd have had her up here too. I'm not finding this out right now.
We're going to keep this going.
I'm saying, Brittany, I could have had her up here too. We could have done it, both of y'all. So listen, I'm going to take myself off the screen because you don't need me. So I'm just letting you know, okay? So you got to grow.
I should, okay. All right, so we're going to get into this. So what is a trust? A trust is a legal entity that can be used to protect assets. Keyword, entity. That is the key word. It's an entity. So what I mean by, and I keep repeating entity because we have to understand what we got going on with our personal credit using our SSN, our social security number. That too is an entity. My physical parts in this, space that, in this cloth, flesh cloth suit, I am a natural person, right? But being as a citizen of these United States of Americas, there's something called a social security number that was assigned to us. That became a legal fiction, right? So you got to understand that is an entity. It's an entity in order to move through this commerce of this country. It is never, Ashe, thank you for that. The first trust definitely was, but the issue is, it's not yours. It's yours, but you don't got it. That's why there's something called a trust that you can establish, right? So with that being said, anytime you do stuff through your personal credit, you have to understand that anything you set up, what you buy, any assets you buy, your house, cars, all them things, when you die, those things die. The biggest misconception is that a will passes things on. Wills do not pass anything on because you, as the entity that it's under, it dies when you die. Does that make sense? I hope that really makes sense. What trusts do is it creates a living entity outside of you, right? That is connected intergenerationally. So you create it, you set it up, you're a trustee, you assign beneficiaries. It means the people you're going to pass it on to. And basically that is estate planning, because once you do that and you put your assets under it, it now transfers because you took it out of you. And now it's living, it's become its own living entity. It does not die. It does not die. I really hope that makes sense. So this is the estate planning that we need to start really doing the research and looking into, because these wills aren't it.
Sinette, can you hear me?
Yeah,
You said these wills ain't it.
they not it.
So
Mhm.
let's marinate on that for 1 second, okay? So like the trust. So she said a couple things that I want to bring to kind of light. All right. The trust is the wills do not pass things on from one generation to the next. When you die, all your stuff dies. So
Mhm.
she said die and she said life. Okay.
Mhm.
All your stuff dies. Your house, your money, your this, that, and the third dies when you die, period. Right.
Mhm.
And the trust lives.
Mhm.
So the trust lives. So the trust lives outside of you.
Mhm.
It's an entity separate
Yeah.
from you.
Yes.
And if you look at this is how I see it,
Mhm.
like a medium.
Mhm.
I don't know what you guys are seeing. A medium, right? And so this, like, pretend this circle that I'm making is a medium, and you and your intergenerational people and all your money, your things, etc., pass through this medium.
Mhm.
This is what lives. The vehicle,
Mhm.
the vehicle lives, and everything goes through it. You and your money, your assets, whatever you want to leave
Mhm.
to the next generation.
Mhm.
Is that correct, Ashley?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's two different types. It's two main types. It's many different trusts, but it's two different types, where it's a revocable, meaning that it can be changed, and it's an irrevocable one, meaning that as soon as it's set up, it's like it never changes. You could die and they still literally legally have to abide by it being irrevocable. So you have to choose, but that's up to you, in your estate planner or a lawyer to discuss or understand what your needs are. But basically, I'm gonna go down the benefits as I skimmed over. So basically, a trust holds your assets and transfers them to your beneficiaries. The assets in the trust are transferred from the original owner's control to the trust, where they are overseen by a trustee. That will also be you. When the owner of it dies, actually, I should cross that out. It's not owner's controller, because this is the thing. Anything under your personal credit is considered owning. Anything under a trust is considered controlling. You have to understand, nothing in this system you own. You got a mortgage, you got a house, you got a mortgage, you really still don't own it. You still have to pay property tax. You don't own it. They could take it at any time. You don't own your car. You don't pay that registration, they taking it. You don't own anything. So why would you own stuff? Why would you let the system make you own stuff and any whim can take it? You have to put your things in a trust. They can't take it. You control it, you don't own it. And we should start making that shift of understanding we need to control things, because it's the reality. We don't control anything. We can't take these things when we die. You control it. That way it can't be really taken from you. Next, so I would change that to control. So when the controller dies, the assets do not have to go through probate, and it significantly reduces the estate taxes. So when you die and people have wills, the problem is when all that stuff has to figure out where it's going, because it's not in something like a trust, it goes through probate. What happens is, as soon as you go to probate, half of the value already goes to the court. Then you got to go back and forth and back and forth. for however long. That is entirely stressful. So sometimes some people just give it up to the court. Some people don't have the understanding, don't have the money to keep them, but go ahead.
No, you got it. I was just thinking about when my father died,
Yeah.
and my brother handled all the paperwork, and me and so I have half brothers. The rest of us were like, "Yo, just take what you want from the house and bounce, yo. Just let Connecticut
It's
keep the
annoying.
house."
See?
Like boom,
It's annoying.
and I chuckle because my father picked the right child to, because your girl over here, her Manetta would have been like, "Yo, get what you want. I'm done with this," and that's that, and that would have been it. So it is, I don't know if you've been through probate, if you, it is entirely overwhelming because you just lost your loved one and now you have to dot every I and cross every T and do XYZ. It is something that I wouldn't wish on my worst nightmare. I mean, enemy, or whatever the expression is.
Yeah.
It's just awful. And if you can avoid probate, do it. Period. Please.
Mm-hmm. And that's the issue. So when we're talking about that issue with being things intergenerational, this
Hmm.
is one big section right here. Through death, the transfer of wealth stops. So imagine if that same person had businesses, had all that stuff, but they put everything under their personal credit. Where is the business at? It doesn't get passed down, or it's harder, unless they actually put them in the business as an employee, maybe, or something. Put it in the trust. Once it goes in the trust, it's like it's completely out of the court. It's its own thing. It goes into a whole different proceedings. It just transfers right on. So it's so important that we understand these concepts. Next one is it's greater privacy than an LLC, since public filings are not required for a business trust. So you're looking for privacy, you're looking for asset protection, you're putting things under a trust, so you get that privacy. Yeah, it's also protection of assets from creditors. Things are in, you get sued. They sued you personally. They didn't sue the trust. If everything's under a trust, you're broke.
Can a trust get sued?
Nope.
See, that's what I'm talking about, y'all. Do y'all hear this?
Nope. Trust cannot get sued. That's why all these billionaires, like Trump and all of them, they be going through bankruptcy after bankruptcy. You be like, how he going through bankruptcy, but he got millions, still got money. He got stuff in trust. Everything is in trust. You control, you don't own.
You control, you don't own. I love this. That's
Mhm.
why I was like, she was on the mic. Like Raquel, she was on the mic. I'm like, does Ashley even hear herself? Anyway, keep going. Don't listen to me. Keep going.
I said, okay. Not talk about a finesse. Listen, this is legal. This is legal, y'all. We're gonna stop it. Listen, this is legal though. They made it up. You belong to this country, you can use it. So this is a picture of one of the first trusts: Rockefeller, Standard Oil, and Morgan Group of Financiers. These people these are still around today. When you're talking about intergenerational, this is what we're talking about. I brought this up because this here shows that this is it's crazy. The business structure still exists today. You could look up all this stuff, and they might have changed the name, they might have updated it, it might look a little more fancier, glitzier, but this structure still exists today. This is what we're talking about. So it's so important to know how to create and cast a vision. We have to wake that part up in us again,
That's right.
so that we are building stuff. Some of this stuff look like what we did in Kemet. Our ancestors did. The structure, see the structure, how it is? We got to wake up these ideas and start putting this together and implementing this. So we're thinking far in advance. These people thought way far. These are all different families. And then in these families, they're all entities of businesses. Granted, they did have the money and they did have the wealth from our unconspicuous means from our ancestors. But now in 2024, we need to understand that this is how we are privy to this, and we need to set our things up as well. So business structure. So when you're talking about family wealth, you need to talk about business structure. So basically what it would look like, the plan would look like you at the top. Then along the lines, to the left, you got your cash, your life, your insurance. The reason why insurance and life insurance wouldn't go under a trust is because life insurance already has beneficiaries assigned to it. I don't know what happened. Okay, it already has beneficiaries assigned to it, so it wouldn't really need to go under there. So you have that section going. Then you have your IRAs, your 401ks, investments, same thing. Everything's already, assigned, Then you have your trust. And if you look down, what's that on the left? Primary residence. Put your house in a trust. It's so important to put real estate in a trust, because if it is not, it's not it. Again, the probate. The biggest reason why people be in, probate is because of real estate. They can't get the house, they can't get the things. Your home goes under a trust. Next to that, you're going to open up your LLCs and put them under there. As then the first one will be, I don't know why it keeps going back, but but the first LLC should be a holding LLC. So basically like the umbrella of everything else you're doing. And everybody likes to put all of their businesses under one LLC. I mean, I don't know, I can't say, but I've just seen it, and it's like, that's not cool to do. Any individual thing you do needs to be an individual LLC. It needs to be its own thing. For one, if someone is suing you, I mean, they're not gonna sue you. Let's say not sue you because you in a trust, they can't sue you. But if it's a problem, this is before I knew about trust. But anyways, let's say you don't have a trust, and let's say you have everything up under one LLC, and let's say let's say you have a photography business, and you have a marketing business, and you have a food service business, a catering business. Somebody got sick from your food. Now they want to sue you because you have everything up under one LLC. They sue you. Now you're done. I mean, I don't know. I'm just hypothetical, whatever. The idea is that you have to separate. Those are 3 different LLCs, and also in the world of government contracting, you should also have that set up like that as well. And I'm gonna get into that later as well. But as you can see, the holding LLC is the umbrella, and then you have everything split out. Also with organizational structure as well, you want to have it all separate. So
I have a question. I have a question. I want to comment with some of these. Do you know about foreign trusts? Can you speak on that? Okay,
Because I'm not an attorney.
All right,
so we'll give you.
We'll do that later. We'll get to that one later. So we do have someone who said, can you put together a step-by-step guide, or can we schedule a Zoom consultation with you? And that is something that we are already discussing. So thank you, Adam, I am 720 for that question. That is something that's already in the works. So just be a little patient. Also, I have the email. I'll put it back in there if you want to just kind of reach out, and I can pass your information along to Sana Ashley. But like I said, we're working on that. So thank you for that. And he also said finding a good lawyer is my next step. I think that's everybody's next step. That is something that is like, who do you find that's good and affordable? And it looks like I can do another Tuesday talk where I bring on some professionals who are licensed and it's certified, et cetera, who can come on here and, give that kind of advice. I will look into that because people are really interested in this. I have seen on Instagram, trust this, trustee that, vehicle of wealth. insurance, and it must be because I'm looking for it because that's my feed stays with that information.
Mhm.
And one that I have seen is why you should have an LLC in Wyoming. Do
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
Okay, I was about to ask
I
you,
know
do you
about
know? Do you
that.
know about that? Can you
I've
tell us why
heard about
Wyoming is the hot spot?
Wyoming is a hot spot because it's completely private. You don't have to disclose like anything. Yeah, it's completely private. Every other state is a level of visibility with your affairs. A trust gives a little bit more anonymity. Wyoming, absolutely none. You move completely in silence in Wyoming. You know,
Okay.
look you up. It's cheaper, yes. As Wyoming is this, the yeah.
So
Um,
why Wyoming is gangster, and we didn't even know that, y'all. We thought it was New York City the whole time, but it's Wyoming. It's
mhm.
Wyoming. Do you know why it's cheaper?
I don't know about it's cheaper.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I didn't get that deep into, but the understanding is that because of privacy.
Okay, cool beans. Oh, I
But
see Las Vegas is good too. All right, cool beans. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Sinette. I just wanted to address some of these questions.
oh yeah, you good.
Mhm.
I put in the chat. So on the slide, I had hyperlinks, but it looks like I can't get to it. I put in a private chat a link that I would love for you to put in the
Oh,
chat.
okay. You got it,
Um,
girl.
so this is a link to Layla Lockwood. That's where I got the idea, the phrase. The idea is to own nothing but control everything. It comes from her. She is a Black woman advocate. She helps you set up your trust. Listen, I'm gonna tell you right now, none of this stuff is cheap. Honestly, it's just an investment. I don't want to say I'm so sorry, but here's the thing: something like this is serious. It's life changing. It's generational altering. Don't like. It's not going to be, you know, cheap. You really
Don't
want
make
to invest
apologies for
into
it.
this.
We ain't apologizing for it, girl. It is what
Not
it is.
apologizing this, but it's something I want to drive home the point because we love getting excited and then we look at it and be like, oh my God, like I can't do it. Like, first of all, now you really can do it, you know? So I want
Right.
people to understand, no, make the arrangements. It's like make the arrangements and vet your person, do your research, don't hop into every little thing. But like when you make it make sense and you create a vision, we need to start executing. We can't keep taking in information and we're not moving out. You got to move out on it. Whatever time it needs you to take, make it happen, but move on this information. But her name is Layla Lockwood. She is running a special. So look into that in her link tree. But
I'm putting
she
it up right now, the link tree.
she gets you all the way together. I don't know if you can see if you can get her to get on here, but like she's good. She's good. She's from Philadelphia, but so she a home girl. But anyways, I really recommend learning through her. Go next. So basically, the recap is that from part one, we have to change our collective consciousness of wealth. It's a matter, and the thing is, it's a matter of health at this point. It's an poverty mindset, these things that has a serious impact on our poverty. Excuse me, on our mental and physical health. All these anxieties, depression, substance. So I'm not saying money is the answer. It's not. What it
A
is
part of the answer.
we have to create space. We have to create this. And so that, we can't keep losing our creative capacities. We're missing out so many gifts because we're stuck in these problems because we're not making these financial wealth decisions. Just like all of this, they're saying scientists, like I said, is saying that all of this is passed down through our DNA. But now what needs to pass down is wealth in our DNA. So trust is one of the biggest things I would say. Let's get into and learn.
So I want to jump in and say this. I opened up a different page and I clicked on the link that was there. Everybody, please copy this link, and it looks like you can, uh, her front page explains a lot of things. And
Mm.
she also has another website, LaylaLockwood.com. I will put that in the chat as well. But we got to make our investments, because we can make our investments. We travel, we get our hair done, we be buying expensive shoes and whatever. We have to put this into action, just like Sinette Ashley said. So I'm gonna put this in the chat. Please look at these links, you guys, and use them. I will update the advertisement after this episode is done, and I will put those two links up there. But you guys can get these links right now, okay? So go ahead. I just wanted to add that. Add
And I
that.
want to make sure you know, like, she's not an attorney. She will let you know too. She's not an attorney, but she is the same thing. She's finding out the gaps in our culture, because she could speak to our culture. Because what's going to happen is a lot of these, attorneys who don't look like us, they don't understand our individual situation, nor do they want to, but at least we can get information from her, someone who knows what we need, in order to use these tools that we have been, we haven't had privy to, in order to make it work for us, so still do your research,
Yep. Do your own research. And I'm gonna do a Tuesday Talk disclaimer. Like, listen, I'm here bringing y'all the information. I am not an attorney. I am not licensed in any kind of financial services. Neither is the Shrine of Sekhmet. Neither is the Shrine of Ma'at. Okay, do your own research, people. Okay, go ahead.
There we go. We gotta let you know. But all right. So number 2, wealth vehicle. Number 2, government contracting. Now this I do stand beside. I was in the military. I worked like 4 different government agencies. I can stand beside this as firsthand information. What I want to say is going to blow your mind. If you don't know about it, now you know. What is government contracting? Government contracting is doing business with the government. So basically, it's a type of business that even business owners is still mysterious on how to use it. They don't even know. Like, a lot of them don't. Just as much as it's a lot of businesses working with the government, it's a lot that isn't. And so what happens is, a lot of business owners, they get interested in this space and they don't realize, and they're like using business strategies that don't work because they don't understand it's working with the government. So working with the government is where the government agencies will solicit public business sector, or it's citizens, it's United States citizens, for the goods and services that they provide. It is a formal process. It's required by law, in which it works off of a certain type of law. And it's where the government agencies issue bid proposals and seek responses from these companies. And this process is standardized by the Federal Acquisition Regulation. It's called the FAR. And that's federal level. When you talk about city, state, local, it gets a little interesting. It gets into different types, but it's all the same framework, which is the FAR. This is something you can Google. I would go ahead and Google. I'm giving you these gems. So basically, it's not like, so the other types of businesses, right? It's business to consumer, right? So that's like, let's say you open up a store, everybody comes in, you have a business, they want something from you as a person. That's business to consumer. The other section of business is business to business. So let's say a Ford dealership wants to, is selling cars to another business, like let's say a catering company. That's doing business to business. How business to business do business, they wouldn't do business with a person. It's not the same. like business to business is not the same as business to a consumer or a person. Then you got business to government. So
So there's business to government, business to business, and
Mhm.
business to person, and those are three three
Consumers,
distinct different ways
yes.
to operate.
And I'm making this point because it's so crucial to understand it, because businesses get into this space and they fail miserably, and they don't
Lovely.
realize the differences that they need to take with government, because you're dealing with the government. The
Mhm.
reason why it's so different is because the government is using taxpayers' dollars. So by law that they created, everything has to be transparent in a way. It might not be transparent to some of you, but it really indeed is transparent. And then when I show you how transparent it is, you'll be like, oh wow, okay, it is. So because of that, there's serious laws. It's all by law. Every transaction that's made, every business decision is made, is all law. The thing is, but because it is law, that works in your favor if you know the laws, if you know how to operate within it, right? You really can use it at your serious advantage, you know. But I have to give that understanding. Anybody got questions?
Nope. I do want to mention what Sen Curtis said. I believe our challenge is to get educated and active in building wealth without being seduced by greed, ego, and power and lose our grounding in ma'at.
Mhm.
And part of what I think is one of our obstacles is that when we do have a little piece of something, we just kind of go wild
Mhm.
because it's something that has been kept from us for so long.
Mhm.
Or if you get a lot of it all at the same time, it's still a little bit, but it's all at the same time. So you just feel like, wow, I'm rich. I'm Negro rich.
Mhm.
And so it's kind of like overeating desserts, if you will.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
we need to get educated and active in building wealth in
Mhm.
a way that is more deliberate and a bit more patient than the feeling of like a windfall. It's kind of like when athletes get millions of dollars and they blow it, it's because there's this
Take.
desire to feel good about the money and to kind of have the comforts you didn't have before. And then
Mhm.
before you know it, you don't have your money. So we have to have a little bit of delayed gratification
Mhm.
in terms of how we're living so that we can at least understand what the process is. And from what I've seen, and from my little bit of experience in business, you can get to the point where you can spend the kind of money that you want, but you have to understand it first. It's like eating. You have to know what's nutrient dense and what you should and shouldn't eat, what you can and cannot eat, and then you can do what you want. So we have to be just a little bit patient. Just a little bit patient for a little bit longer, but not patient waiting for a savior to come get us. And I don't mean just Jesus, because I personally don't believe Jesus existed, but I'm talking about the savior complex that we have where we think one person is going to come and save us.
Mhm.
We might think Layla Lockwood's going to come save us. We might think Himnetra Sashat is going to save us, or Sinette Ashley or Sinette Brittany. No, we're not. Here's information to learn, trust the process, and it can happen. And the other thing is believe that yes or no, yes, it can happen to with us too. There are conscious and subconscious roadblocks that we have that prevent us at times or even to a degree of achieving the success in simple things because we just don't think that we're going to get it, but we can and we're getting it. Okay,
Mhm.
so I just kind of want to throw that in there as well.
Needed that. We needed that because that's the thing. So what I'm going to talk about in a few slides. First of all, we need to have a brand new understanding of ethics, because we don't study that, and we're so removed from our process of our traditions. Because we're so far removed, we don't have a good foundation of ethics. And we now it's created us to be so cutthroat between one another and predatory with one another.
Yeah,
We're completely forgetting that we're connected, and what we do to each other is what we're doing to each other.
and to ourselves.
to ourselves, literally, you know. And so we have to have a brand new understanding of ethics. We need to research that and implement that in our lives on so many levels. It's so important to move in with integrity, you know, like, and not just make that a talking point, like, for real.
But
You know.
to actually move with integrity, I agree with you 100% in everything we say and do, and not fudge the truth or exaggerate or pretend. I agree 100%.
Mm-hmm. Especially moving in this space,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be ethical. In fact, the people be like, "Oh, Ashley, how you get contracts? How you do it?" Be ethical. Before I tell you anything else, before I say ethics, and I'm gonna get into it, but seriously, yeah. So the vehicle opportunity, real quick, I'm gonna run down this because we're gonna try to get out here by 11, my 10. But basically, government contracting is divided in the country with federal, and federal will be overarching anything that says the department. Anything that says department, so Department of Defense, Department of Transportation, Department of Energy, that will be your federal level. Next will be your state, and that's easy. So each literal individual state, California, California, Georgia, Texas. I'm sorry, it keeps going back and forth. I don't know where it's going. But each state has its own jurisdiction of government outside of the federal government. They work in tandem, but it's like it got its own jurisdiction. In fact, it's some parts of the federal operations that can't intercede into state affairs because it's not in the jurisdiction, even though they're in the United States. Isn't that weird? So when and then you have it's divided into local. So local is Harris, so your county. So anything that says like Montgomery County, Harris County, even though it could have a city in it or around it or a conglomerate of cities is a county, it's still the county. It's its own government. Then is your city. So that's your Atlanta, your Houston, your New York, your Philadelphia, Los Angeles. It has its own government. Each of these different levels all have hundreds of agencies that all need stuff or services or whatever that they need that you as a government citizen can provide. And the reason why I make this delineation is because people say I want to sell to the government, but which one? I mean, it's a lot going on. You literally can zoom in on like your city, zoom in on one little department, maybe two, and make six figures to millions. You could zoom out to the big boys in federal. When you're ready, you can hit up those contracts. You can even start with federal and have small federal contracts. It's federal, but you can start somewhere small. But I'm just saying, you got to think about the full breadth. I'm just giving you the breadth of what's really it is, so that's how it's divided up. So the United States government is the largest customer in the world. Just last year, $9 trillion was appropriated for 2023. So when we're talking about appropriations, appropriated, that's into appropriations, meaning like whenever they make the budget for the year, they set aside what's called an appropriation. So when I go back, each of these jurisdictions have their own appropriations or buckets of money that's been forecasted for the year. And so what happens is at the end of this year, it all together added up for $9 trillion for the year. That wasn't 2022, because 2022 was 9.6 trillion. The year before that, it was like 10 trillion. So what I'm saying to you is it's a serious wealth opportunity. And it's almost unlimited, because when you think about the capacity of what you can get, you only need a serious fraction, and you can make a serious pivot to wealth. So the opportunity. Um, so when you're talking about what these agencies need, right? Is anything. I literally cannot narrow down and give an idea of what to do. You just literally have to have what you want to sell. You could do it that way. Like if you already have a business, you can go ahead and see if it's in, if the government has a need and you can check it out. Or, we can niche down and look at the budgets of like, okay, what has a budget? What can you get? And that can be your thing. But other than that, a list to give you an idea is like cleaning custodial, it could go services, it could go products. Cleaning, like they need toilet paper, tissue, rags, garbage bags, all the way to they need actual housekeeping, and everything in between, literally products and services, construction, remodeling, like literally anything. Consulting, let's say, consulting, I'll say also with HR services. So the government likes to outsource a lot, just like any business. They not really trying to have people on payroll either for some reason, or they don't want to, they feel like it's cheaper to go ahead and contract out. So any type of consulting you do, you can contract out. They contract out HR staffing services. They contract HR services if they need an HR generalist or a whole team for a contract. Anything, any consulting that you do, you could really see if the government needs it. Also, marketing and communication, food services, so like caterers to food or like anything. Insurance, medical laboratory. There's an idea someone has of what's it called, like where they pick up the laboratory specimens. You could do that's a courier service.
Right, a courier.
Courier. They contract that out with the VA hospitals. Printing and reproduction. So like if you want to do prints, graphics, transportation, warehousing, the biggest thing in transportation is trucking. And that ties into the bottom where it says disaster relief. That whole government agency is called FEMA. You've heard of FEMA. That's all contract services, all that. So anytime anything happens, they need truckers out the wazoo. Anytime any type of environmental disasters like crazy snowing or fires, all of that, they need all of that. Real estate, the government owns no property. I don't care, like it might look like, they got all these buildings and stuff. What type of real estate? It's not a personal real estate. I forget the type of real estate, but it's like
virtual real estate.
No, man, like business real estate, corporate real estate. Like I can't think of the word, but my real estate people know what I'm talking about. But like office supplies. So anything from printer paper to desk, chairs, furniture,
anything in an office,
anything. You got to think about all of these government agencies. They need stuff. They need printers. They need papers. They need ink cartridges. And the thing about it is, the opportunity is so vast is because the government don't buy nothing small. It's all in bulk. So when I was holding my government my government credit card, that was $250,000 limit per monthly. I was buying reams of paper. I was buying 3 to 4 pallets of printer paper every month. I would say that was about $10,000 a month. Somebody could get some, and the thing is that with this, right, the government has laws that say like they can't buy through big business. So something like an Office Depot, Staples, I couldn't buy through that because they're too big. They're over 500 employees. That's so I had to intentionally look at, you know, the size of the companies, meaning that that's, you know, those are my cues to try to stimulate the economy to smaller businesses. So I had to find the moms and pops, which is in our, you know, who are set up and could provide what we needed. So I was going through, you know, I was just picking like, and these are small mom and dad companies. I'm buying it. Now, let's say they're getting $10,000 from me a month, and they service like 3 other agencies off of just printer paper. Somebody also was talking about how they make 6 figures selling rat traps to the city of Atlanta.
Ooh. Oh God.
I'm
Don't
sorry,
say the R
that
word.
was a little bit
Oh
too
my
much.
God. For those
But
of us in New York City, it's traumatizing.
oh yeah, I don't even know how
Ah,
you do that, child. Woo. But
wait,
I'm saying,
let me jump in and say this. My dog came out of her crate when I said woo, so I'm so sorry, Pumpkin. Um, so I do want to bring in some of the spiritual component of it in terms of the vibration that we have to all be thinking about when we elevate our lives, especially in the last frontier, which is money.
mhm,
Sen Curtis, Adam I am 720 said, forward thinking, laying a foundation of ma'at for our descendants to come, includes financial as well as spiritual discipline. Yes. And he said, am I on point? Yes, you
yeah,
are on point. Yes,
yeah,
you are on point.
yes.
Yes, in Sachet, and I hope I'm saying this right, it said it feels like mental has to be aligned, elevating beyond an oppressed mindset. And so those are in my opinion like this two different ways to say the same thing, because if you're in my art mentally and spiritually, you do not have an oppressed mindset.
Exactly.
And in order for us
There
to
you go.
believe and know, first I guess you have to believe, then you know. First you believe because there's no track record or fact. You just have faith, right? Faith is knowing in something, sight unseen, something like that. First you believe, then you know. Knowing is when you have facts. So right now, if you want like an XYZ amount contract from the government, you just gonna have to believe it. Then after you get it and you do it a couple times, then you know that you can get it because you've had it before. So I think the first step is smaller than we think, but it feels huge because we know that it is a life-changing move for you as an individual, and it is a generational wealth change for your family. I'm sorry, y'all. I have a camera, a phone I'm looking at, and I have the laptop that's been getting on my nerves and yours. So I'm trying to figure out who I'm talking to. I'm talking
You,
right here.
you talking to us right here.
I'm
Yeah.
talking to you right here. So it's a small step, but we think it's huge because it's life changing for us, and it's family intergenerational changing. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. I'm corny. I don't know if you know that, but you're about to find out how corny I am. I've watched Days of Our Lives since middle school because my great grandmother, BB, she used to watch it. And when I thought I was grown in middle school, you know how you think you cute, you be feeling yourself. I wanted to watch soaps. There's this main character, his name is Stefano Zamora, who in real life passed away. The actor passed away, who's actually from West Hartford, Connecticut. Um, and he started from scratch, right? And he was like the head of this like mob family. But everyone in the family, they lived in the mansion. You could tell they had trusts that paid their bills. They never paid bills. Like they just lived their lives, not aware of stuff around them. And there was this because they had it like that. And they had a big picture of Stefano Demira over the fireplace. I want
Who's that? You know,
Stefano
I'm
De,
still.
Stefano Demira is the person who was the head of the family, who made sure that everyone in his family had millions of dollars, had all
Oh
this influence and power because they're a Demira.
yeah. Mhm.
But he was the one who made that family rich and wealthy with all that power and influence. And what I'm saying is, I know for a fact there's gonna be a picture of me over a whole lot of people's fireplaces.
Mhm.
So
On altars.
if your goal is to have a huge portrait of you over a fireplace, as corny as it might sound, you be the one who has the portrait picture over the fireplace.
Mhm.
You be the one who, and you can tell I've thought about this. You be the one who, generations from now, people who never met you and nobody alive met you, but
Mhm.
they have that picture of you over the fireplace because you did stuff like attend Tuesday talk, and you went and got a trust, and you researched lawyers, and you took that small step.
Mhm.
It's a small step.
Mhm.
And so what I'm saying is, be forward thinking, so forward that you are no longer alive,
Mhm.
and people who knew you are no longer alive, but
Mhm.
they know who you are. Who's that right there? Oh, that's your great 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 grandmother, who was born middle class like me. I'm talking about me. Went to great schools, had businesses, mediocre success, and then one day she took a small step and changed her life and our lineage. So think like that. Think
Mhm.
like that. The
Okay.
portrait over the fireplace. That's
Mhm.
what we're talking about.
Mhm.
Ain't none of us gonna be alive. Nobody who knows us now are, and that is the type of forward, objective, non-emotional thinking that we have to have.
Yes.
Okay, that's
Yes.
I want to say that because I think about the portrait and which picture I'm gonna choose. Y'all think I'm playing? I'm not playing. And that sometimes is my motivation. Something as simple as a Stefano Tamira portrait, but it's gonna be me. Okay. So I just want to throw that in there because, like, if you're the one who changes the trajectory of your family, you deserve that portrait over the fireplace.
Ashe, that was beautiful. I look, you get me chills. Oh my gosh. Let me go ahead. But there was definitely that was bars. So that's right there. That's not exhaustive. This whole list is not exhaustive. It's so much. But what you can do is you can do research by going to a government website called fpds.com. Excuse me, not gov. And that's what I'm saying. Nothing in the government is .com. It's all .gov. So don't get scammed. Everything is a .gov. If you, especially if you're talking about government. Now, when you're talking about city, state, local, like it might be a different domain. But for the government, sure, we stay on .gov. So fpds.gov. You go in there. We don't have really much time to really pull that up, but
Wait, F what? P as in Paul,
it's right there. FPDS. I'm gonna put it
fpds.gov.
.gov. Um, if you go there real quick, it should come up a real old looking website. It's like a Google of all contracts that have been executed. You go in there and you type whatever you want to look up. So let's say you want to look up, I don't know, pencils. You can find all the pencils that has ever been a contract executed. You can see it's a lot of information you can see actually. You might a lot of it you're not going to understand, but you could really see the money. You could see how much it executed for. You know, you might not know all the details of the spaces, but you could see what's going on right there. You could see the company that won the bid. You could see, you know, whatever certifications was applied to them. It's a lot of information. So if you want to start doing your research into understanding, you know, the field that you might have business in to see, you know, what opportunities is out there, what has been executed, that will give you an idea. And yeah, just get ready because the numbers could be crazy. You know, just yeah. The next website to talk about the government budgets are it's not on here. I'm so upset, but it's called usaspending.com. I'm going to put it in our chat.
.com or .gov.
Sorry, me and this .com, USA spending.
I got it. I'm putting it in there, Ashley.
Okay, yeah. That right there is going to give you the executed budgets. That's where I got that $9 trillion number from. But what that is also going to do is you can put the filters to agency, and you could see everything agency wide, like what was executed, how much the budget was, what's earmarked for this year, at least this quarter. because the budget hasn't been executed for second quarter, third or fourth yet in this year. But you could see last year, you could see so much. So basically, you would use these two websites in tandem to do some market research. See what what is an opportunity you can do in this space. You can also see what agency you might want to narrow down into, because it's a big space. It's unlimited money. So you want to narrow it down to bite-sized, even bite-sized. A fraction of a bite size in this space will still yield serious yields, So that will just get your, research spending, your research mind going. So I'm gonna keep it pressing. Okay. So basically, the opportunity socioeconomically is how the business, how the government does business with its citizens. So sorry, I'm getting text listed. So the government has laws and mandates. Each presidency, each president has their own set of goals. So for the Biden-Harris administration for this year, for this their administration, their goal was 23%. It is 23. It's like it ranges between 20 to 23% that all of the government's budget has to go to small business. So 23% of last year was $160 billion. So when we mean by they have to do business, they literally have to do business. If you remember me talking some time ago, I was talking about how I wasn't meeting my quotas for certain socioeconomic categories, right? And that was because the people weren't showing up. This is what they're talking about. So in order for the government's budget to circulate fairly, how they want to say fairly, they create these socioeconomic categories. So the first one is small business. Small business is any businesses under 500 employees. That's a small business. And a certain dollar amount. I can't remember the dollar amount, but at least under 500 and certain dollar amount. Next is women-owned small business. Well, we know why that's a socioeconomic category, because, the disparities in pay with gender, that's became its own category. The government has to award at least 5% of all contracting dollars to women businesses. Then you have service disabled veteran small business. That could be split up between veteran owned and then service disabled if they have it. That's about 3% that has to be earmarked to them. Then you have a program called 8A. 8A is like the creme de la creme. 8A is where it's like, it's a program. You have to be a little bit of a veteran to be a veteran, but like a business veteran to be in this, because it's a protege program where they have to earmark all, like if you're in this 8A program, if you actually have it awarded to you, any contract that you go for, they have to set it aside for you. And you could stay in the program up to 10 years. And you have to, if you reached a max of $20 million. I want to say it's 20 million. I'm sorry, I don't have my numbers, but it's like off the top of the dome. But basically, can you imagine, like, but now you got to come in competent, but they make sure you're competent because it's a protege program, so you're gonna have mentors, you're gonna have people helping you, be good, be able to handle, these businesses and the business. So, once you kind of reach those plateaus out, you kind of graduate yourself out. But that's all set aside for disadvantaged business owners. And then you got HubZone. So wherever your business is, if your business falls in a historically underutilized business zone, then you you qualify for being in a hub zone. And again, that's the idea of the government making efforts to circulate the money in the economy. So underutilized businesses, that a lot of that could be a lot of, black owned, black or marginalized areas. It could be rural areas, anywhere where there's not a certain percentage of business activity. That's a hub zone. You can qualify for that. So this is why it's such an opportunity, because a lot of us qualify for, if not one, all of these. Maybe the 8A, because you might have to you have to work for that one. But like off the rip, you qualify for this. So off the rip, you could get 3% earmarked just for you if you show up. But if you don't show up, so how the process goes is that, let's say you're in government contracting, you got your certifications, you're a woman-owned small business, you're in a hub zone. So when you have these certifications, which you get through the SBA, or you could write that website down to sba.gov. SBA.gov controls all of these certifications. When you go through these certifications, you're going through SBA, the Small Business Administration. So what happens is, you have these certifications, you went through the process. So when you go to bid on a contract, depending on the agency goals, which you have already researched because that's your agency, you know what they want. If you come up and you're all of those, like I said, women-owned, small business, hub zone. Let's say somebody comes in just as a small business, or there's somebody comes in as just a hub zone. Well, they might have small business too, because everybody gets the small business. Or let's say, I don't know, it could be another one. But the more you have, the more they have to look at yours and weigh yours higher, because you have more. You have more categories that they're trying to fill. So they're going to look at you first. Now, here's the thing. People say they feel like certifications is only going to get you in the door. So they focus on certifications. They're not focus on their quality of business. So just because you have all these certifications does not mean you're going to get the contract. So you have to come in competent. You got to come in value driven. You got to come in correct, because they still can, they can disqualify you and choose somebody else. So you have to meet all the standards. Hope that makes sense.
That makes sense. All of this makes sense, girl. This is good. This is good stuff.
Yeah. So this is the opportunity that's here for us. Really do your research, SBA. Thank y'all for putting in the chat, SBA.gov, USA spending, look into these. And when you go to SBA.gov, you're going to, just probably type in the search, government contracting or socioeconomic categories. So you could get, your wheel spinning. Oh, here's another thing. If you have a business in the United States of Americas, you have to be government contract ready. Now, you might not know how to do the business in government contract. You might not know how to do it, but you have to get set up. This space is one of those spaces where if you get ready, you got to, you just got to stay ready. You got to get ready to stay ready, because when the opportunity comes, it would be so unfortunate if a contract comes your way and you're not registered. You know what I mean? And that happens a lot with people in business. They're not ready. If you have a business, if you're up here open up LLCs and S corps and stuff, you need to go ahead and do these processes. So at least be ready. It's something that you just want to have ready, and the knowledge comes later, because this stuff takes some time to register and go through all of this. So this is kind of something you want to do in the background, just have these stuff going, and the types of agencies that can help you out are, it's called an obstacle office.
You're going to have to type that one in, girl, because I don't know how to spell it. You putting that in the chat?
I'm Googling it because I think I'm spelling it wrong, but it's Office of.
Don't worry about that. Don't worry
Okay,
about that. I'll
I know
give
we
me
got.
that afterwards, and I'm gonna update all the links. I have the link list ready, as a matter of fact,
It's
and
also
because
called.
we're coming to a close pretty soon. I just
Mm,
want to we had some of the categories are small business, women-owned, small business service, disabled veterans, 8A, business development, and hub zone. Those words as well. I'm gonna have all of that. This is just gonna be like in a list form, and with the websites that are mentioned. And there's a really big interest in this topic, and I can see that we have other Tuesday talks about this issue. When will we get reparations in our time frame, girl? I
I'm
don't
gonna
know.
tell you right
I'm
now.
sorry. I don't
These are
know when
reparations.
that's happening.
These are.
Reparations is something that would change the scope of this planet if they gave reparations to the descendants of enslaved Africans across the Americas, because we have been dispersed across the world. There would be immediate wealth across this planet, and they know it. So there's no answer for that. Definitely not in right now when we about to close. I want to go to some of the questions in the chat. Um, let's see. So so we have a comment wondering if negative self messages is what Sinette Sachet was referring to in her earlier comment. I don't know. Maybe it's, I think that some of the negative comments that we say to ourselves consciously and subconsciously is just is because of conditioning. Um, but we come to places like this, Tuesday Talk, where we have this discussion and we have solutions. We're not just venting. We have solutions. And I've heard some stuff here where I want you. I mean, like I said, we've been talking about bringing a lot of different things to Tuesday Talk, and hearing what I'm hearing. You guys want to hear the professionals next. How can we take it to the next step? So just definitely stay tuned, because this is something that you guys need, something I need, we all need it, and we'll definitely get it done. So when I say we, I mean with the Shrine of Sekhmet, which is the platform that's bringing you Tuesday Talk. It's a nonprofit LLC, a nonprofit that I started so that I can do the things I do, which is Tuesday Talk and my yoga and healthy lifestyles with Cy Singletary and a few other things. And as you can see, we're in the works. Like, this internet service gets on my nerves because now it's fine, but
Mhm.
then before it wants to act like it's 1992. So annoying. So I'm checking through for any questions. I don't see any questions, guys, because I looked through the chat while we were going along. I hope I answered any of your question. I hope I answered all of your questions. So we're gonna wrap up this session of Tuesday Talk, and I'm so excited for what's gonna come in continuing in with our Money Matters series, because this can't be the last one, because a lot of great stuff came up in this one. So just stay tuned. I do appreciate your participation in Tuesday Talk. Please send me some suggestions, feedback, comments. I know that my internet can be janky, so you can keep that comment because that's not going to move the needle, okay? I already know that. Needle ain't moving with that one. But when I do put up the links and some of the different code like words or services or departments. I'm also going to put my email, and you can email me suggestions or things that you need or want to see. And I definitely want feedback on how you think to your opinion of Tuesday Talk, minus my internet, because I got that. Okay. And I promise you, it doesn't happen. And then when it's on, it's like, you're choppy. Anyway, okay, enough of that. Right. So anyway, so Sinette Ashley, thank you so much for being on today with this topic. This is something that can be kind of painful for people. If you've grown up in a home that maybe didn't have a lot of resources, or you've had ideas to do things and for whatever reason haven't done it. This is something that's therapeutic because it's making you face your fear of trying to keep your money in a vehicle, using those trusts, looking for a professional to help you do these things, working with the government, making that money. So you have my word. This is not going to be the last installment of a Money Matters Tuesday talk. Okay. So, Ashley, I want us to end with some comments that you have to say because you really have. Oh, thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. Amazing Tuesday talk.
Thank you.
Oh, another phenomenal interview, Myrrh, which is love, the information Senate Ashley dropped. Yes, I'm gonna leave. That's the comment I'm leaving. I'm
Thank
leaving.
you.
Senate, send Curtis. Look, we working on bringing her back professionally. So she talk about how much for a Zoom consultation. We give me send Curtis, give me some time. I'm working on it. You know what I'm saying? I'm working on some stuff. I can't tell you everything. Just trust your girl, okay? Yes, but many thanks. People are saying thanks. Yes. And Sen Garrick said another phenomenal interview, Mur, the information that Senate Ashley dropped. I really want to thank you for that,
Thank
Senate
you.
Ashley, because we need this. I'm leaving it up to you. You got the last word, girl.
Thank you so much for being open. Thank you being open to yourself. These are very um, hard conversations, like we were saying. But it's so important that we start, learning these things and making these changes and pick it up. To me, like, this is the next best thing to reparations. We do have to work for it, but it's so satisfying to know that there's earmarked funds and that you qualify for, that you have
Hmm.
limited access to. And basically, if you do a lot of professional and personal development, you can't be stopped. So get with me. I would love to do consultations. We gonna work on that. But yes, I'm available.
We gonna work on that. So thank you so much, you all. I really truly enjoy doing Tuesday Talk, and I put a lot of work into Tuesday Talk. I work on Tuesday Talk all the time. All the time. And Sinette Cheryl and Sinette Lee have their cameras off. I was going to bring them up. They're really helpful and helping me get everything going. Sean, him too. And I be calling Sean whenever I feel like it. It'll be like 2 in the morning and I just call him. And sometimes he answers and sometimes he's asleep because it's 2 in the morning. But anyway, the point is Tuesday Talk is a labor of love. And I really want to make sure that I'm giving you all that you need. If there's something that you want to hear, you want to learn about, you want to do whatever, please let me know because it really truly is my pleasure to serve the people. You know, next this Sunday coming up, I'll be at the Shrine of my Aunt and I'll have my graduation ceremony from our priesthood training. And
Yes.
once we finished our training, we went from the title of Boot, which is priestess, or Abu, which is priest, to Hemet Neter, which is divine servant for women. It's the feminine form, and Hem Neter, which is divine servant, the male form. And it's really, I absolutely love serving our people. I really do. I really do. Even those nights when I'm tired and I want to go to sleep. I think about our ancestors who stayed up late or got up early or were disciplined and did the things that they did for us so that we could be here on this platform and we could have all of this information from Sinette Ashley. So
Oh,
once again, thank you so much. Yes.
can I
Thank you
just
so
say
much.
thank you for your leadership.
Oh, thank
You
you.
and all of our Winwet. Y'all give me so much to look up to and big shoes to fill. So I appreciate it. I love this space. So thank you for
I do
everything.
too. Yeah. I really love the space that's created
Mhm.
from the Shrine of Ma'at that Intepi Anika and Intepi Jabari created for us to initiate and priesthood training. And I've been thinking about that because I got to sound smart next Sunday, y'all. When Jabari says, "Hemet Natur Sashat, do you have anything you want to say?" I got to sound smart. So I've been thinking about it. And really, what comes to me is just gratitude for this space and gratitude for you guys. So, so on that note, I'm going to end Tuesday Talk. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week. Next week we have Dr. Daniel LaRoche. Daniel LaRoche is an ophthalmologist, and he's so smart and so educated, and he's so down to earth and funny, and he's enthusiastic about teaching and learning, and participating and being a Chemite and an African spiritual practitioner. He's an amazing person, and I love being around him. He's a great guy. So we're gonna have Dr. LaRoche on next week. Flyer soon to come, and I will see you next week. Go forth in divine balance, Shema Ma'at, and go forth in peace, Shemim Hotep. Peace.
Peace.